client messaged me on Upwork at 11 p.m. on a Sunday, and this is what it said. I need a full Google Ads campaign built by Monday afternoon. I'll pay $150. My last freelancer disappeared, and I'm not going through that again. Now, to me, that was an obvious no. That's a red flag. But I've seen newer freelancers take that job and spend the next 2 weeks rebuilding whatever project it was that they were working on over and over again as the client changes direction. And they're the ones getting blamed for it. One starred for work that they did exactly to the brief. Nobody tells you this when you start on Upwork. The proposal, the profile, the optimization, the connects, none of it matters if you can't read the client before you apply or answer an invitation. Because there are 5 types of clients on this platform, and one of them will quietly destroy your job success score before you even see it coming. And guys, this is critical because this is the difference between freelancers who build a real income on Upwork and those who grind for years going through the mill and get nowhere. It isn't skill. It's not their hourly rate. It's not even their profile. It's that they can read a job posting, the budget, the tone, the hire history, a single line in the description, and feel whether the client is worth a connect or not before they've finished scrolling. There isn't a checklist for this as such. If there was, Upwork would have built it into the platform. What you're about to learn is how to read patterns, the way that an experienced buyer reads a used car. Nothing on the dashboard tells you it's a bad one, you just know. And by the end of this video, you'll spot the red flags in a job posting before you've finished reading it. And guys, quickly, if you're new here, my name's Michael, multiple 7-figure business owner, top 1% expert, vetted on Upwork, nearly 600k earned, 5,000 proposals sent, and here's every type of client that I have learned to spot. Now, the first type of client is the ghost, and this is the most common client on Upwork, and they aren't difficult. They're just very absent. You send the proposal, they reply once, you start the work, then silence. You submit. Silence. You message asking for feedback. Silence. But then, 2 to 3 weeks later, can we start over? I've had a rethink. Can we change X, Y? I had a client in the finance sector, a lead generation campaign, $3,000 contract, do exactly this. I was 7 weeks into the projects. They've responded to 4 messages in total. I'd built, tested, and revised. When I finally got them on a call, I found out that they'd changed a core product offering 3 weeks in. They just hadn't thought to mention it. The ghost costs you money in unpaid revisions and time on a project that you can never close. And here's the worst part. Sometimes they only go ghost after you've signed the contract. By then, you're trapped. So you learn to spot them before you send the proposal. Red flag number 1, their job posting is vague. Not we're open to ideas vague. Here's a budget, figure out the rest vague. That's the issue. Red flag number 2, previous contracts with no feedback left on either side. That is not a good symbol of a client relationship that's prospered very well. And if it's a repeated pattern, it's an issue. Red flag number 3, when you include a scoping question in your proposal and they don't answer it, they just say, sounds great, let's start. The warning isn't low engagement, it's no engagement or acknowledgement at all. The ghost wastes your time silently, but the next type will waste it loudly and with a lot of enthusiasm. Client type 2 exists in almost every industry and platform on the planet. It's the Tyre Kicker. This client isn't hiring, they just haven't figured that out yet. They post jobs regularly, big scope, big budget, big ideas. They message back fast, enthusiastic. You get excited. They're very collaborative. There's loads of ideas bouncing around the room. But you spend 2 hours on a custom proposal, custom documentation. You hop on a call. It's an excellent call. And then nothing. A week later, the job's reposted. New budget, slightly different title. Projects may look slightly different, but you're being used as a free consultancy. I once had a prospect SaaS company, US based, who invited me to 3 separate calls over 2 months. Each one shifted the scope. Google Ads strategy first, then a full paid media audit, then can you put together a research document so that we know that we're all aligned? Unpaid. I walked away in the end from that project. 3 calls, roughly 6 hours worth of my time, and at a rate that's around $1,100 of unbillable work, that's a problem. They reposted the job consistently, and I watched from the sidelines. And here's the red flag. Look at their hire history. It's right there on the client profile. Don't fixate on the percentage though. That's a different thing altogether. I've won huge clients who were brand new to the Upwork platform with 0 hires to their name. But what you're looking for is the shape of it. Loads of jobs posted and barely any hires? They're browsing a lot. Post a job, hires somebody, closes it out, posts another. That's a real buyer. The number doesn't tell you the answer. The pattern does. The Tyre Kicker can cost you connects and time on a client who was never real in the first place. But the next type signs the contract, pays the deposit, and then and only then, slowly, quietly, expands the job until your margin disappears. disappears. Before I get to type 3, try this. Open the last Upwork job that you sent a proposal on, click through to the client's profile, and look at 2 numbers side by side. Jobs posted, hires made. Drop the ratio in the comments, just the 2 numbers. I'll tell you what I see. I'm building a picture of how bad this is across different niches, and I suspect the gap is uglier than anyone really likes to admit. Guys, I promise you that there's a pot of gold at the end of this rainbow, but type 3, the scope creeper. This client starts with one platform, then quietly assumes you work for their entire business like you're an employee. You're hired to run Google ads, clear scope, agreed rate, but then all of a sudden, 6 weeks in, things are going well, the campaigns are converting, the client's happy. Then, while you're in the account, could you take a look at our meta ads for us? They're not working and we thought you'd know. You explain that's a separate service, you try and understand the client. Yeah, of course, expansion is great for the relationship. And then the reply comes back. But it's all just ads, isn't it? No, it isn't. It's not the same thing. I had a client, ecom brand, $1,500 a month do this. By month 4, they'd started copying me into emails about completely separate services like their website design. It was crazy, asking me to review TikTok creatives, requesting monthly reports that covered every paid channel that they ran. When I raised the scope, the response was immediate. We assumed it was included. You're our ads person. The scope creeper isn't malicious. They have a genuine belief that hiring somebody for a service means hiring someone for everything that's related around that, and possibly everything that touches ads in my case. The red flag, that's in the job posting if you know where to look. A title that names one platform, but the description mentions 2 or 3 others passingly, a budget that's too small for the scope that they actually describe, or language like end-to-end or full marketing support, in my case, attached to a single channel role. The job is already asking for everything. It's there in front of you. They just hadn't quite pinned a title on it. And if you miss those flags and take the job anyway, fix it in the contract before you start. Define the platform, name the deliverables, state clearly what falls outside of scope, and how additional work gets priced. The moment that a client starts forwarding you login credentials you didn't ask for, that's your signal. Address it that exact same day. The scope creeper expands your job exponentially. But the next type won't touch the scope at all. They'll wait until after delivery to destroy your profile instead. So we're 3 types of Upwork clients in. Now, the next 2, I believe, are the most critical. And these are the 2 hardest to spot and also has the biggest impact on your trajectory as a freelancer. So, type 4, the feedback bomber. You do the work, you do it well, then the review comes in, the contract's closed, and you don't recognize the project that they're describing. 1 star, didn't follow the brief, unprofessional communication, would not recommend. You look at the job, you delivered what was asked. You have the messages sat there to prove it. And here's the part that hurts the most with this type of client. You can write a response into their review. You won't see it first, but you can write your own response. You've given them an excellent review, and in return, you've been given a poor one for no reason. What you can't do is change the star rating that they've given you. You can open it again if they are willing to change it, but you cannot physically change it yourself. It sits there on your profile, and as of 2025, it's permanent. Your job success score is the most valuable thing that you own on Upwork. It's what gets you invited to jobs. It's the first thing that many clients see, and it's what unlocks rising talent, top rated, then ultimately expert vetted. And 1 feedback bomber can undo months worth of hard work on your JSS. And the worst part, the red flags were almost always there in the job posting before you ever applied. Guys, you just didn't know what you were looking for, and it's not your fault. 3 signals give them away. Red flag 1, they mention a previous freelancer who let them down. This is critical. No acknowledgement of their own role in that particular issue, whatever occurred. Sometimes there are bad freelancers out there, but that is always a red flag to me. No acknowledgement of their own role in any situation is always bad. No matter what has happened in my life, I always take my share of responsibility for that issue. Every bad outcome was someone else's fault. That never happens in any situation that I have ever seen. Red flag number 2, they ask for unlimited revisions or a turnaround so fast, you know they'll change their mind halfway through. Finally, approval calls before you've even started. And then red flag 3, the tone before you've even spoken is very transactional. It doesn't sound collaborative at all. It's transactional. If you are experienced in business or have held any sort of job where you are in a sales position, you'll understand exactly what these 2 different feelings are. Collaboration is excellent. Transactional is very rigid and gives you the EBGBs, if you like. It does me now after years of experience. They're already managing you. Guys, do you remember the client that I mentioned at the beginning of the video? 3 red flags in one message. The price was exploitation, the deadline was impossible, and they'd already decided who'd be at fault when it went wrong. I closed it immediately. A bad review from a feedback bomber isn't a reflection of your work at all, but it is a reflection of your judgment in taking the job in the first place. Never work with a client who's already written the narrative for why the last person failed. 4 down, 1 to go. And this last one is why experienced freelancers don't quit Upwork. They just get better at finding them. If you've enjoyed this video so far, hit subscribe, but this is the one that we've all waited for. Type 5. The dream client. They know what they want, they trust you to deliver it, and they come back for more later. Very clear brief, realistic deadline, payments verified, previous contracts with reviews that say things like, we'll rehire, exactly what we needed, trusted completely and left to get on with it, and delivered X result. I have clients that I've been working with for 4 or 5 years. Retainers, quarterly strategy calls, everything that you can imagine. They refer other clients. They don't haggle on the rate. They ask what the next level looks like. They message when something is working and when something isn't. The dream client looks different before you've even sent a message. Their budget is set. It's not open to negotiation, actually set there. The brief is specific enough that you could start work today. Their past freelancer has left positive reviews. And those freelancers have strong profiles themselves. They respond within 24 hours during scoping. Not because they're desperate, but because they are organized and know what they want. When you see that combination, spend the connects. Write the custom proposal. This is who you're building your profile for. So guys, you can now read a job posting and feel who is on the other side of the screen before you've even reached the end of it. You have the ghost who'll never respond, the tire kicker who was never buying, the scope creeper who's like the sorting hat in Harry Potter who thinks that you work for their entire business after taking one role, the feedback bomber who's already decided that it's your fault before the project's even began, and then finally the one that we all want, the dream client, the one who makes the whole platform worth it in the first place. Most freelancers spend years getting burned before they figure this out. You just got the shortcut. You're not just a freelancer on Upwork anymore, you're a freelancer who chooses who they work with. And on Upwork, that's the difference between grinding and building a successful business. In this next video, I go through an automation using Claude routines that filters the ghosts, the tire kickers before they've even messaged you and you've seen it. That one video has saved my clients months of wasted proposal. Links on the screen. Watch it before you send another proposal. Subscribe. I post every Tuesday and Thursday. I'll catch you in the next one.